the Song of Solomon and also Book of John, chapter 14 in Book of John. Song of Solomon will be in chapter 2 and chapter 7. Song of Solomon 2, we'll read verse 10. My beloved spake and said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Verse 13. The fig tree putteth forth her green figs, and the vines with the tender grapes give us good smell. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Begin reading with verse 10 through verse 12. I am my beloved's, and his desire is toward me. Come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field. Let us lodge in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see if the vine flourisheth, whether the tender grape appear, the pomegranates bud forth. There will I give thee my loves. And then over in the book of John, chapter 14, book of John, chapter 14, verse 31, Jesus speaking, But that the world may know that I love the Father, and as the Father gave me commandment, even so I do. Arise, let us go hence. I want to develop the thought of the message around some phrases found in these verses. In Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 10 and 13, the bridegroom is speaking. The bridegroom being allegorical for Christ, and he is speaking to the bride, that being allegorical for the type of church that Jesus Christ established during his earthly ministry. But having said that, it is also applicable to you and I individually as the children of God. And here's what he says to her, what we're taking our thought from. Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. Verse 13, arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. In chapter 7, the verses that we read there, the bride is speaking, and she is speaking to the bridegroom. And she says, let us go, let us lodge, let us get up early, let us see. And then in John chapter 14, verse 31, we hear Jesus say to the 11, which was his church at that time, arise, let us go hence. So those words, all put together, are a picture of togetherness with Christ. It speaks of a unison, a connection with Christ. So what we have here in our text verses is the privilege, the opportunity that is ours, you and I that are saved, at all times. There is not a time that this is not our privilege, that this is not our opportunity. What we read here are words of attachment, words of closeness, words of harmony with Jesus Christ. And that is our privilege, that is our opportunity at all times. It's a picture of the best life that there is. Sadly, many of God's people know nothing of this life. Living life with Christ. Living life with Christ. Again, it's a wonderful privilege. It's a wonderful opportunity that is ours at all times. It's a picture of an extraordinary life. The life of most of God's people is far from extraordinary. The life of most of God's people is very ordinary. Fits right in with the life of most. But what we have here is a picture of a heavenly life. Picture of a heavenly life upon earth. And as we've mentioned many times, it's a vertical life in a horizontal world. The world that moves horizontally. You and I ought to move vertically. Our lives ought to be moving up. Our lives ought to be ascending. So here Jesus say, arise, or rise up, come away. And then hear him say, let us go hence. And we say to him, let us. Let us. So you see, our lives are to be synchronized with him. So our subject this morning is go with Jesus. How often do we go with Jesus? How often are we aroused by Christ and come to him and go with him? So we want to look at this, first of all, as Christ's words to us, and then our words to Christ. So consider who is speaking here. Christ, or the bridegroom, says, rise, come away. Jesus says, let us go hence. That it is Christ that speaks manifests or indicates the importance and significance of what is being said. It gives what is being said a place of prominence, a place of preeminence, because of the one who speaks the words. Jesus Christ, all the fullness of the Godhead, dwells in him. All the fullness of the Godhead. You and I cannot even begin to comprehend what that means. All the fullness of the Godhead dwells in him, and he says, rise up, come away, and let us go hence. That means that I have access to all the fullness of the Godhead. What a privilege. What an opportunity. Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, the A to the Z, and everything in between. He is the Almighty. He is the bread of life. He is the shepherd. He is the creator. He is the deliverer. He is the door into the very presence of God. And he says, rise up, come away. The door into the presence of God says, come away. And then he says, arise, let us go hence. He's the mediator. He's the mediator between God and man. He's the heir of all things. He is Emmanuel, or God with us. He's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. He's the Lamb of God. He's the light of the world. And He says, rise up, come away, let us go hence. He's the Prince of Peace. He's the Redeemer. He's the rock in a weary land. He's the Savior. He's the friend of sinners. He's the shepherd and bishop of our souls. He's the Son of God, or God Himself. He is the Son of the highest. And it is He that says, rise up, come away, let us go hence. The one who is the way. He is the way to. He is the way through. He is the way out of. And He says unto each one of us, rise up, come away, let us go hence. He is the truth. In a world that is steeped in error and foolishness, He is the truth. And He says to you and I, rise up, come away, let us go hence. He is the life. That is, He is life that is abundant. He is life that is overflowing. He is life that is victorious. He is a life of direction. He is a life of purpose. He is a life of joy. He is a life with exclamation point. And it is He who says, rise up, come away. Let us go hence. He's all sufficient. He's always all sufficient. He's the sustainer of all things. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And it is He who says, rise up, come away. Let us go hence. He's God's provision. He's God's cure. He's God's answer. And it is He who says, rise up, come away. Let us go hence. He is one who has had worldwide impact. He's brought more comfort, more cheer, and more hope, and more joy than anyone else. And this one says to us, rise up, come away. Rise up, come away. Let us go hence. The very one who has gone into places of darkness and transformed them into places of light. The one who has gone into places of unrighteousness and brought about righteousness. The one who has gone into places of thirst and brought about refreshment. The one who has gone into places of brokenness and brought about mending and healing. The one who's gone into places of sickness and disease and brought healing. The one who's gone into places of hopelessness and brought hope, and gone into places of weakness and has brought strength. And the one who's gone into places of distress and sorrow and agony and brought relief to those places. And the one who's gone into places of fear and brought courage. This is the one who says, rise up, come away. What a privilege. What an opportunity. This is the one who says, let us go hence. Wherever hence is, doesn't matter. Let us go hence. What a privilege. What an opportunity. Notice, this is a personal message. Song of Solomon 2, verse 10. She says, my beloved spake. She knew His voice. And according to Jesus in John chapter 10, His sheep know His voice. We know His voice. My beloved spake. Notice, My beloved spake and said unto me. So it is my and me. It's personal. My beloved spake and said unto me. So she knew his voice, and he has her attention. Now I believe all children of God know that voice. But I do not believe that he has the attention of all children of God. In fact, I believe there's very few that are paying attention to Jesus Christ. Also notice that there is a relationship between him and her. She says, my beloved. My beloved. And then he refers to her as, my love, my fair one. There's a relationship between the two. She knew his voice. He has her attention. And there's a relationship between the two. What a life. What a life is ours to live. In order to fully appreciate the words, rise up, come away, let us go hence, we must view them in the light of a loving, close-knit relationship with him. Also, notice the tone and mood of these words. I believe the tone is set when he says, my love, my fair one. The tone is set in John 14:31 when he says, arise, let us go hence. The tone is set in John 14. And again, it's love, kindness, patience. So the tone of these words is loving, kind, patience, friendship. These are the words, rise up, come away, let us go hence. These are the words of one who has a delight in the one spoken to. My love, my fair one. It's amazing. Jesus Christ delights in me. Jesus Christ delights in you. And he says, rise up and come away. Let us go hence. So these are the words of one who has a desire to be with the one spoken to. He says, rise up, come away. He desires to be with her. When Jesus says to the 11, let us go hence, he desires to be with them. This is amazing. We can understand why we ought to desire to be with him, and yet many times we don't. But why would he desire to be with us? Yet he does. That's amazing. And that gives us a wonderful privilege, an opportunity. You may have worldly friends that desire to be with you, but I'm here to tell you, Jesus Christ desires to be with you. That's amazing. Rise up. Come. Come away. And let us go hence. The very fact that it is not go away reveals that these are words of amazing love and grace and mercy and patience. We could understand if the Lord were to say to us, I've had enough. None of us would put up with what God puts up with us. We wouldn't put up with that from anybody. So it wouldn't be surprising if God were to say, go away. But He never has. He has never said that to me. He has never said that to you. Never has. He's not going to. But what He says is come. Come. He says come away. He says come and let us get away. Rise. Let us go hence. So these are words of arousal. Song of Solomon 2:10, rise up. Verse 13, arise. John 14:31, arise. These are words that ought to, they're meant to stir us. They're meant to awaken us. They're meant to stimulate and excite us. Rise up. They're not words meant to cause fear. It's not rise up, the house is on fire. But it's rise up, come away. Rise up, my love, my fair one, come away. It ought to arouse us. It ought to stir us. Rise up. Arise. They are indicative of the fact that something important is at hand. What's so important? Come away with me. He's the one that's important. Let us go hence. Rise up. There's something pressing at hand. What's so pressing? It's Him. Come away. Come away. Speaks of something of priority. What's the priority? The priority is Him. Come away. How many times we arise in the morning, and how long does it take you? How long do you have to be up for the Lord to cross your mind? It should be as soon as we wake up. But it isn't all the time. Sometimes one may go through a whole day before they think of Him. But I believe every morning, if you listen, you'll hear Him say, come away. Let us go hence. And may I say, you're not really ready to go hence until you come away with Him. Come away. There's an order here. Let us go hence. Oh, to be awakened every morning by the voice of the Lord. To be spiritually aroused. First thing. These are also words of gracious invitation. Again, it's come away. Not go away, but come away. And let us go. Come away. It's a call to draw close to Him. Let us go hence. That's a call to commitment. to Him. Come away. Let us go. Both are calls to leave something. Every day. We have to leave things to go to Him. Well, what do I need to leave? Whatever it is that keeps you from getting to Him. Come away. Let us go. We have to leave something to go away with Him, and we have to leave something to go with Him. It's a call for Him to have the preeminence. For Him to have the preeminence. You get up, some go to school, some go to work. We go, hence can be a lot of things. But it's to be with Him. And how often we go hence without Him? How often we go through a day and never go away with Him? We've missed out. We've missed out. A lot of God's people scared to death they're going to miss something, they're going to miss out in the world. Well, you better be concerned what you miss out every day. Spiritually. All the opportunities that are wasted by you and I. These are words of amazing opportunity. Come away. Let us go. You and I do not know what a day may bring forth. Every morning when we open our eyes, you have no idea what may happen that day. You have your plans. Nothing wrong with that. But you have no idea what is going to happen that day. Maybe your last day. You know, people ask foolish questions, but they reveal a lot of truth sometimes. If you knew, they'll say, that this is your last day, what would you do? Child of God should only have one answer. Spend it with Him. But that's usually not the answer. That's usually not the answer. Every day I have the opportunity to come and to go with Him. That ought to be our life. We come and go with Christ. On any given day, there's a wide spectrum of activities, a wide spectrum of occurrences. In the span of a day or in the course of many days, there may be joys, there may be heartaches, there may be sorrows, there may be great enjoyments, but every day I have the opportunity to come and to go with Him. And if I come and go with Him, the sorrows are less, or I'm more enabled to deal with them. And if I come and go with Him, the joys are much greater. It improves your whole day. You can't go wrong to come and go with Him. But why are we so adverse to coming and going with Him? There are days that are convenient. There are days that are inconvenient. There may be days of ease. There may be days of difficulty, troubles. There may be smooth days. There may be rough days. There may be bright days. There may be cloudy days. But the best way to spend a day is to come and to go with Him. There are days when there's great calm. and there are days of turmoil. There are days of peace, there are days of struggle and conflict. There are days of loneliness. There are days of fellowship. In your loneliest day, you don't have to be lonely. Because if you listen, He speaks. Come away. Come away. Let us go. Don't have to be lonely. There are days of strength, there are days of weakness. There are days of health, there's days of sickness. There's days of great assurance, and there's days when we're shaken. There are days of courage, there are days of fear. But every day, doesn't matter what the day is, I have the opportunity to come and go with Him. Every day. There are days when we can see clearly. And there are days we can't see at all. There are days when we have the comfort of friends. And there are days when perhaps there's not a friend in sight. Life consists of a great variety. And the events of life can change suddenly and drastically, but every day. I have the opportunity to come and to go with Him. Every day. We wake up in a world where God is not honored, He is not sought, He is not relied upon. And every day we go forth into such a world. But before we do, we need to hear Him say, "Come away." Now, after you've come away, let us go. Let us go hence. We live in a world that's dark, a world filled with trouble, a world of testing, a world of evil, a world of wickedness, a world of trials, a world of insurmountable needs. But I have an invite every day to go forth into such a world with Him. Every day I have that invitation. We live in a world of change. We live in a world of upheaval. We live in a very chaotic world. But I have this invitation to get away with Him and to go with Him. Every day there are the pullings and the allurements of the flesh and of Satan and of the world. And every day we are faced with temptations and the reasonings of carnality. And there's danger everywhere. But He says, "Arise, come away. Arise, let us go hence." What an amazing opportunity. Every day there are storms, maybe not in your life. There's storms somewhere that someone's going through every day. There are storms that we have to go through from time to time. There are Goliaths that we have to face from time to time. And there are battles and struggles that we have to deal with and engage in from time to time. And there are obstacles that we must get through. And there are deserts and there are depths that we have to get through. We can't get stuck there. But the one who knows the way through it all, the one who's already been through it all, he says, arise and come away with me. And then he says, let us go hence. I have an invite to walk through life with him. I have an invite to live life with him. What do I do with that? What do we do with that? It's our privilege. It's our opportunity. I'll tell you this, that obedience to these words will bring wonderful results and make a huge difference. To arise and come away with him and to go with him leads to a more meaningful life. It leads to a greater experience of him and a closer relationship to him and a greater enjoyment of him. To arise and come away with him and to go with him, that is where wisdom is found. That's where you'll find it. And it is wise to go away with him and to go hence with him. This is where understanding is developed. Arise and come away with him. Go with him. That fixes the heart upon him. What is our heart fixed upon when we awake? What are our first thoughts? It also is what keeps the heart from becoming bitter. You can't become bitter by going away with him. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. Well, I'm bitter because so-and-so. You'd be bitter too if you had to deal with what I have to deal with. Well, you're bitter because you don't spend the day with the Lord. You can blame it on whoever you want, but that doesn't make it so. Because you can't become bitter by getting away with him. So-and-so may have done something. They may have done something terrible to you. But if you would have got away with the Lord and gone forth with him, you're not going to get bitter. It's not going to happen. It's where priorities are kept right. Priorities are kept right by coming and going with him. It's also where spiritual desires are revived. As we go away with him, spiritual desires are revived. As we go forth with him, spiritual desires are revived. It's where divine enablement is found. It's where spiritual fulfillment is found. This is where you find a table of feasting. By going away with him and going forth with him. This is where we witness the miraculous. There are several examples. But in Mark chapter 1, verse 38, Jesus said to the apostles, let us go into the next towns. And it was in the next towns where they witnessed the healing of a leper. Had they not gone forth with him, they would have never witnessed that. There's a lot of things we miss because we don't go with Him. A lot of things we miss seeing because we do not go with Him. Later on, Mark 4:35, He said, "Let us pass unto the other side." And in obeying that, they witnessed that He was the master of the wind. They obeyed and they found themselves in the midst of a storm. But they found out that even the winds obey His voice. They learned that with Him. So it's, you see, this is what leads to a higher plane of living. It'll spare you a life of wandering. You can't wander in aimless circles. If you get away with Him and go forward with Him, you can't wander in aimless circles. We're invited to live life with Him. What a privilege. What an opportunity. To live life together with Him. People today choose they would rather gripe about the times. Well, why don't you just get away with Him and live life with Him? It'll fill you with gratitude. It'll fill you with praise. It'll fill you with passion. It'll cause you to worship. Oh, what an opportunity we have. Lastly, and very quickly, this should be our heart's desire, to get away with Him, to go with Him. Notice again in Song of Solomon chapter 7, verse 10. I am my beloved's. I am my beloved's. I belong to Him. Oh, that God's people would realize that in reality, not just words. I belong to Him. Notice what this led to. His desire is toward me. What's His desire? It's what He wants. It's what He wants. She is saying, I belong to Him. My life is not my own. And I want what He wants. His desire is toward me. People will say all the time, I only want what the Lord wants, and then they do everything they can to get it where it's what they want. It's easy to say, I want what He wants. It's an entirely different thing to live it. I only want what He wants. Not going to try to make anything else happen. I only want what He wants. And then listen to her. Come, my beloved. She's inviting Him. We have an invite from Him. Come away, let us go hence. But now she realizing that I belong to Him, and I want only what He wants, she invites Him into her life. Come. Come. And this is followed by 4 times, let us. She says, come, my beloved, let us go forth into the field. It doesn't matter what the field is, if it's with Him. Let us go forth into the field. Let us lodge in the villages. You have a field, you have villages. Two entirely different things. But both are spent with Him. Let us get up early in the vineyards. Again, there's a difference between fields, villages, and vineyards. Let us see. Oh, and what we see when we live with Him. How many times you can point a child of God to Scripture and they'll say, well, I don't see it that way. Well, why not? You would if you spent time with Him. Why don't you see it that way? Because you're not in a position to see it that way. What an opportunity is ours. He invites us to live life with Him. And we ought to invite Him into our life, wanting only what He wants. Well, I'd never go there. Well, that's sad. That's really sad. What if He tells you to? Well, I'm still not going. I mean, that's the truth. I'll never go to Iran or Iraq or some other miserable place on earth. Well, what if He tells you to? Well, He wouldn't tell me to. You know that? You know that? No, you don't know that. We ought to simply want what He wants. That's it. Nothing else matters. Oh, that we would live our lives, come away. Every day we would get away with Him. And you spend some time with Him, and then He says, let us go hence. Remember what the apostles said? It's good for us to be here. They didn't want to leave. We're that way. But the Lord says, no, we can't stay here. We need to go. But you don't have to go alone. If you do, that's your choice. That's your doing. Doesn't have to be that way. Every day, regardless of what happens. I believe if you listen, you can hear Him say many times in a day, come away. Come away. Sometimes after we go hence with Him, He'll say, come on, let's go away. And we spend some time with Him, and then He'll say, let's go. Let's go. What a wonderful way to live life. God help us to do that. Brother Ben, if you'd come and lead us. Verse of song, let's all stand.